Thank you, Mr. President. It's an honor to be with my friend and colleague, Senator Cotton, as we rise today to honor Pea Ridge police officer Kevin Apple, who was killed in the line of duty on Saturday, June the 26th. He made the ultimate sacrifice while attempting to apprehend two suspects fleeing from police. Although this would be the last example of his selfless service and dedication to protecting his community, it was certainly not the only one. Officer Apple bravely devoted his life to law enforcement and the good that it can bring about. He worked tirelessly to uphold law and order over the course of 23 years, serving several Northwest Arkansas communities, including Pea Ridge for the last 3 years. He was known to consistently support others. The compassion he exhibited in and out of uniform will be fondly remembered by those he helped. He gave me hope again, one citizen remarked of Officer Apple. Another individual commented that as a result of Officer Apple, he changed his life. Now, more than 20 years later, he maintains a deep appreciation of the support he received from Officer Apple. He did much more than serve and protect. The Pea Ridge police officer said Officer Apple put humanity in the job. For a police officer, there's no higher compliment than that. He was also known as a prankster. He was usually upbeat and lifted the spirits of those around him with a smile that would light up a room. Friends, neighbors, and colleagues described him as someone who cared passionately about his role in supporting public safety and was more concerned about lending a helping hand than writing tickets. He was a loyal friend and leader who always put the needs of others above his own. Officer Apple leaves a legacy of lasting impact on all those whose lives he touched in his own unique way. Whether attending a child's birthday party or checking on an elderly citizen, he went above and beyond the call of duty and constantly showed his dedication to the people he was sworn to protect. My hope is the community's support will provide comfort to his family, his friends, and brothers and sisters in blue. We can be very proud of how Northwest Arkansas has already bonded together to give back to the Pea Ridge Police Department and this fallen law enforcement officer's loved ones. Officer Apple was the embodiment of what it means to wear a police badge and uniform. His exemplary service and dedication to serving his community is truly inspirational, and he leaves behind a worthy example for other officers to imitate. We all mourn the loss of Officer Apple and are deeply saddened by this tragedy. I join with Arkansans in expressing our gratitude for his service and sacrifice. I'm honored to recognize his life with Senator Cotton today as we pray for his family and his colleagues and community members, and know that he will forever be remembered as a hero. And with that, I yield to Senator Cotton.
Thank you. Senator Boozman. Police Officer Kevin Dale Apple of the Pea Ridge Police Department protected the communities he loved for 23 years. But Officer Apple's long and honorable career in law enforcement was cut tragically short just a couple weeks ago. It all began with a call to be on the lookout for a blue Jeep that was fleeing from police in Rogers. Officer Apple and a fellow officer spotted the vehicle at a convenience store and sprung into action, approaching the car to speak to its occupants. When they did, the driver of the Jeep rammed one of their police cars and then struck Officer Apple, dragging him to his death. He succumbed to his injuries at the age of 53. Officer Apple's death is a tragedy and a crime, but it's also a reminder. It's a reminder of the grave danger that police officers across the country face every day when they put on their bulletproof vest and leave home, not knowing whether they'll come home that night to take it off. This year alone, barely halfway through the year, 162 law enforcement officers have died in the line of duty across our country. Officer Apple's death is also a reminder that every time an officer approaches a suspect, he or she may be exposed to hidden threats, such as a concealed weapon, or in this case, a vehicle transformed into an instrument of death. All of the comfortable critics of the police who love to second-guess their every move under incredible stress and danger in the heat of the moment stand to learn from that sobering fact. Officer Apple's death is also a warning of the tragic consequences of ill-conceived, soft-on-crime policies. The woman who killed Officer Apple, Shauna Cash, was known by police long before that fateful day. She was facing multiple counts of theft and other drug-related offenses, but she was reportedly released from jail due to the coronavirus. When criminals get let out of jail and put back on our streets, tragedy tends to follow. A brave officer would still be alive today if his killer had remained behind bars. The trade-off here should be obvious. This criminal with a rap sheet longer than your arm should have remained in jail, and Officer Apple should have gone home to his friends and his family. And for every future Shauna Cash who gets let out of jail early because of the coronavirus or soft-on-crime policies or other foolish and naive reasons, just remember, there could be another Officer Apple or another murder victim or rape victim. Like every victim of the terrible murder wave sweeping our nation, Officer Apple's life mattered. He leaves behind loved ones like his mother, Daylene, and his brother, Kyle. He leaves behind fellow officers and comrades who remember his jokes and his goofy sense of humor. He leaves behind a legacy of 23 years of honorable, courageous service to his fellow Arkansans. Officer Apple will not be forgotten, and we must never forget the lawmen who lay down their lives to keep the rest of us safe. We will respect Officer Apple's memory just as we respect every law enforcement officer who wears the badge with honor. I yield the floor.